busy couple of days for Mark Carney in Europe, beginning this morning, actually overnight. Mark Carney posting a message on X, a social media site, saying that he had a conversation with Donald Trump about the U.S. Strikes into Iran. Carney saying he's pushing for de-escalation of the whole situation. They also talked, of course, about security and about trade. And those are the two themes that are really kind of on the agenda for Carney's discussions today with other European leaders while he's in Belgium. Canada is looking to sign on to this pact, sort of a pan-European pact called Rearm Europe. It's essentially a procurement system where all the member countries kind of pool their money and buy needed military equipment together. And they also allow their member countries to bid on that work as well. The idea here is to keep as much of your defense spending within Europe. Now, of course, Canada, we're not part of Europe, but we're looking to sign on to that as sort of an additional member of that pact. This could potentially give Canadian companies, military suppliers, access to this huge European market. And of course, Europe is really in the process of arming up right now because of the situation with Russia and Ukraine, continued aggression from Russia into Eastern Europe. And there's uncertainty, of course, about the future of the NATO alliance with things that Donald Trump has said about NATO. Doesn't feel the other countries are pulling their weight militarily, has mused in the past, including in his first term as president, about withdrawing the United States from the NATO agreement, the alliance. So that has Europe looking for other opportunities. Now, of course, this new pact that they're building in Europe is not going to be as large, comprehensive, or, of course, as well funded as NATO, but it is kind of an alternative. Then, now tomorrow, Carney goes on to The Hague in the Netherlands, where there will be a meeting of all the leaders of NATO countries, 32 member countries, gathering there to discuss this situation, discuss the situation in Gaza. This now a new hot war in Iran with Israel, and also to discuss military spending overall. So these two kind of visits kind of tie into each other that Carney is doing here. There's a lot of pressure on NATO countries to increase their military spending. We know Canada just recently, in fact, just last week, Mark Carney said Canada will hit our NATO spending target that was set back, I believe it was in 2013, where all the NATO member countries pledged to spend 2% of our gross domestic product, so basically 2% of the size of our economy, on defense. Canada had a plan to reach that level by 2032 under Justin Trudeau. During the election campaign, Carney accelerated it, said he's going to hit it by 2030, and then just recently surprised us all by moving that up 5 years, saying by the end of this fiscal year, so the current year the government is in, which fiscal year ends in March of 2026, that Canada will hit that target there. So we will achieve the 2% target. That'll buy us a little relief from some of the criticism Canada had been getting. But there are already talks about increasing the amount, the commitment, spending commitment amongst NATO members to 5%. Wouldn't be totally on military equipment, about 3.5% that would be spent on defense, and another 1.5% of that spent on defense infrastructure. So building things that are going to last for a long time to defend your country rather than just sort of a recurring cost. Now, Canada is nowhere close to hitting 5%. In fact, none of the NATO countries, including the United States, are spending to that level right now. This is going to be a big ask, and I would expect Canada will be resistant to this idea of dramatically increasing our NATO spending so soon after we finally said we're going to hit that 2% target. But it's going to be a lot of pressure on Carney and some others in NATO. I mean, NATO is a divided group about this. Some countries, including the United States, more hawkish, want to see more spending. Canada, maybe we don't want to spend that much right now. European countries, though, the threat for them is from Russia chiefly is imminent, and they would like to see those numbers increased as quickly as possible, even if it's not to the 5%. So this is going to be an interesting negotiation that goes on. So these two themes on this trip for Mark Carney in Europe, trade and defense, all tied together. And the big thing for Carney is he wants to see that defense spending spent either on Canadian companies or, now that we're going to be in this new pact with Europe, on European companies, because currently FISA, about 80 cents of every dollar we spend on defense goes to suppliers in the United States. Given our trade relationship with them right now, that's not particularly wise. Mark Carney looking for other opportunities, other markets for Canadians to buy from, and also, crucially, to sell to.